Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends Series Deluxe Guardians of the Galaxy Ronan the Accuser. This is an Amazon exclusive. It just shipped out a couple of days ago. I'm just kind of catching up to be able to review this guy. And he's a pretty good figure. He's basically... well, that's not even fair to say. I was going to say he's basically like the Colossus and Death's Head figures, which were both standard mainline release figures that at the time were $20. But this Ronan the Accuser is a deluxe figure at $38.99. But he's not actually the same. I think there are some same pieces. I'll have to double check kind of and look through. But it looks like he has the same legs as Colossus, the exact same legs, same boots, same everything. The arms, yeah, you know what? The arms are the same as Colossus. The hands are different. And then we get a new torso, this piece, the shoulder pads, the head, and then obviously the accessory piece. So I don't know that he should truly be a deluxe release, but I get that he does have a lot more. As you can see, Colossus was, you know, didn't have extra parts and things like that. But, I mean... you know, double the price, that's probably a little bit of a stretch. Amazon exclusives tend to go on sale at some point because there's usually an overabundance of them, and they, you know, you could usually catch a good price. I don't know what the in-stock status of Ronan the Accuser is right now. I'll have a link in the video description below. Hopefully he's still available. I'm not sure. But it is a decent figure. He is pretty beefy. He's quite large. I will show a comparison with the MCU version of Ronan the Accuser. I do not have that previous Build-A-Figure Ronan the Accuser. At one time, I did have the KO version, the knockoff, but I don't have that anymore. I sold it or gave it to somebody. I don't really remember, but... let's get in for a closer look at Ronan. So we'll get the box out of the way. We get Guardians of the Galaxy here. A couple of figures are getting branded with the Guardians of the Galaxy, like the Yondu figure, which is just now hitting targets. It is here on the West Coast. It's about 30 minutes one way or 45 minutes another way to get it. So I'm just waiting for my local stores. Hopefully they'll get it in the next day or two. Guardians of the Galaxy up at the top. We get the side artwork of Ronan the Accuser looking pretty awesome back there. Back of the package, you can see the only accessory that he comes with is his hammer weapon. 3D render there. Guardians of the Galaxy. It does come in a brown shipper box from Amazon. So just a heads up on that. But there he is. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. Okay, so a closer look at Ronan the Accuser, and he looks pretty good, pretty menacing there. Good paintwork on the face. I don't know if you can really tell or see it so much, but like around the his lips, you could kind of see the coloring in there, and it looks really good. A little bit of that like metallic green up there, black around his eyes. All looks pretty good. I like the way that looks. Let's get this out of the way. So his accessory piece. That is a hollow piece of plastic on top there. It's secured well enough on there. It almost feels loose, but it doesn't actually move around on there. But again, it is hollow there. A little bit of blue paint on there. Looking at the handle of it, it is spiky down here towards the bottom. We get some textured detail on it. That looks pretty good. Don't grip these spikes, because that will actually hurt. Those spikes are fairly sharp. But so, good sculpt there. Going back to Ronan, as you can see, we get nice green paint here on the shoulder pads. These green lines here for his torso, that's all sculpted on there and then painted. And that looks pretty good. Looking throughout. It's actually on the back as well. And they even painted it. Oh my gosh. Hasbro doesn't paint the back of figures. Usually they really don't. So it is really a surprise that we did it. I think for something like that, though, it was just very necessary for them to do. Green paint here on this sash belt piece. Neon green belt. Looking at the boots, they're just all green. These gloves and gauntlets, just all green. Then metallic green for the arms, a little bit here on the collar. But yeah, it looks really good. But again, kind of as a comparison, you could see that the feet and the boots, they are the exact same as the Colossus figure. There is no difference there. The legs are the same. That's why we do have pins on the legs and then pins on the arms, because the arms are the same, including the gauntlet pieces. Obviously, the hands are different, so it looks like Ronan does get new hands, which is good. I brought Death's Head out to kind of really look at comparing them as well. And really, I guess the shoulder, upper arms are going to be the same, and then the upper leg and knees are the same for Death's Head. other than that, not really a whole lot going on there. And you could see they're just about the same height. Throwing Colossus in there. Colossus looks to be right about the same height as well, depending on kind of how you stand them. So, again, these were $20 figures. Ronan is, a close to $40 figure. Yes, he has more stuff going on for him, but I get the price increases and stuff, but Hasbro does a lot of things where they label deluxe figures as deluxe when a lot of times they just don't feel like they're deluxe. Now, this is bigger than a standard what would be a $25 figure now, sure, but it still doesn't make it hurt any less to have to pay more for what you feel like is what we've gotten before at a similar price. I think there's more going on to this, sure, but I mean, when you look at like Death's Head, there were some new parts on there, like these legs were new, the hip piece. Oh, that's just a floating belt, but like this crazy arm, I mean, it was hollow and stuff. But the head sculpt is pretty crazy looking. Look at all the detail on this guy, right? That was kind of nuts at the time, like, damn. But it just shows kind of the change of how things are now versus how things were before. Hasbro does a lot of really good things now, but when it comes to the pricing of a lot of things, it's just kind of all over the place. And I don't necessarily, again, think that this is just, like your normal size figure, but at the same time, I feel like, I don't know if that it'd be a deluxe, right? But anyway, let's go ahead and see how he moves. All right, so Ronan the Accuser. The good thing about this guy compared to his MCU counterpart, which actually, let's just go ahead and do now. The big difference, mine has this super loose torso. Oh, I hate that. I don't know if I remember if it was like that always or what. Huge size difference between the two, but the benefit of this Ronan is when you turn this Ronan's head, as you can see, like people hated that. Like in the movie, Ronan never turned his head, right? He'll like tilt to the side a little bit or whatever, but I get it, still kind of sucked. But this Ronan does not have that problem, so that is a great thing. So you could still turn the head because the hood and the shoulder pads are independent of each other. But there is a problem when you do that. Like if you do this, if you turn it too much, what ends up happening is you end up popping the shoulder pads out of the peg holes on the torso. I've heard people mention that quite a bit. Mine isn't too bad. I did pop it out earlier, so just a heads up on that when you turn the head. You cannot get him to look up. You cannot get him to look down, though. I don't know if that's like an issue with the head. I see a hinge in there, but yeah, he really just doesn't move his head. It just really doesn't. Oh, shit. Do you hear that crack? Damn. Okay, so he can look down that much. Looking up, not so much because the hood really gets in the way with those shoulder pads, but he can look up that much. So we cracked it. We got it. It works a little bit. Nice little swivel. Seems definitely a lot looser now. So do be careful there. The arms, the shoulders. Look, see, it popped out in the back. There it goes. It popped off completely. So the shoulder pads come off pretty easily. Just pegs there on his back, pegs there on his chest. Yeah, damn. I don't know how, it's not going to stay on probably real well. So these shoulder pads are definitely going to hinder the articulation. Oops, would help if I put it on right. That is not right. The shoulder pads are going to hinder the articulation a little bit if you don't pop them off. If you keep them on in place, kind of a pain in the ass. Because, you can get the shoulder to go up, but again, it moves that shoulder pad and then it really pops it out of place. But you can get the arm there. You would be able to do a full rotation, but again, you're definitely going to knock that shoulder pad off. You do get a bicep swivel in there. Single jointed elbow with the pin. Figures all kinds of stiff. So you get that much bend at the elbow. So not even 90 degrees. So he's got a large bicep, large forearm and gauntlet. So that gets in the way of really, getting the good bend on that elbow. The left hand has a vertical hinge, which is good for holding his hammer. The right hand gets the standard horizontal hinge. So that's kind of interesting how that works. So horizontal, vertical on this one. They probably both should have been vertical, in all honesty, but maybe it depends on if you put two hands on it. I have to take a look. We get an ab crunch on this guy, so you can crunch forward that much. He can go back ever so slightly. That's very little. I feel like there's something resisting it, and it's not the belt, but so pretty limited there. We do have a waist swivel on this guy. This belt piece does kind of get in the way, but you can't really move it, so just a heads up on that. Legs go out that far apart. He can kick forward that high. That is pretty good. Leg doesn't really go back. You got an upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinned knee. You get that much bend there at the knee. There is a calf swivel just under this portion of the boot, as you can see there. Foot hinges all the way down. You get a tiny bit of hinge up. Ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So not terrible articulation for Ronan. It's pretty good. Once you crack that neck, you can get some movement in there. It's still pretty limited though. So we don't have a whole lot of comic Guardians of the Galaxy figures. We have this Vance Astro from the which Build-A-Figure? Titus Build-A-Figure, I think it was, from the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 when that came out. There is the Guardians of the Galaxy box set. I have not opened that set yet. I don't plan on opening it anytime soon, so my apologies for not having a good comparison for you guys. Check out Rick's review, Art with Toys. He actually has, his Ronan Accuser. He compares them to the comic Guardians of the Galaxy figures. Yondu, when I review the Yondu figure, I'll probably throw in, Ronan so you guys can see him there. But just a size comparison for your typical 6-inch Marvel Legends figure, you can see the size difference. So when we look at Deluxe, I mean, yes, he's a beefy boy for sure, but again, like Colossus was a $20 figure. Maybe he was just a special case. But then again, Death's Head was a regular figure, and maybe he was a special case. I don't know. But, I do feel like $38.99 was a little bit higher, but I get it. It's also the standard Deluxe price. Like, if Deluxe was still $30, I definitely would have been a lot more okay with it. At $39, at a 30% jump, that's kind of crazy, right? But anyway, that's a whole different topic and stuff. I'm sure Amazon will probably have a sale at some point, so you guys can be able to get a Ronan the Accuser for cheaper if that's what you want to do. But it's definitely a good release. Better than the Build-A-Figure, which had limited articulation. And yes, I only had the KO, so I don't know the full scope of what the original release really would have been, but the ball joint hips are always kind of difficult to work with and things like that. I know that figure had a very good size to him, but I really like this design. It really pops and stands out more, and I like it. But you guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this Ronan the Accuser figure? Are you picking it up? Did you pick it up? Are you waiting for a good sale? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and as always, thank you for watching.